Vincent, for joining us in the second Koraniyule of 2023.
Who was the first Koraniyule?
It was this Malaysian called Eunice who said that he was available at the time, earlier, and so we've done it just to get it out of the way. And I hope to have more than 31, or have the option of having more than 31 interviews this month. The idea is to do one a day. But if I get up to 31 before the month is up, I could do a little more. And I think this year will be a more interesting crowd because we have both had some contact with the younger crowd, haven't we, Vincent?
Yes, a little bit, though. The younger these people get, the worse that they got. I mean, there was the early millennials, which were around 10 years ago. Not or no no no. There were the late millennials and early Gen Z around 10 years ago, and now we're starting to get into late Gen Z, and it's just getting worse.
So the degeneracy of is obvious and noticeable, and what we're trying to do is to arrest it, aren't we? I mean, I think that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know what you are trying to do
Yeah,
with your
I'm
political
trying to I'm
activism.
trying to create a little nucleus to survive the storm and, like, protect itself. I think these people are beyond help, the vast majority of them. And
Beyond beyondism.
they're beyond help. They're beyond more than beyond reason. They're beyond help, and nothing's going to help them. And nothing. Look, millennials and Gen Z's men, white men, are not going to go out tomorrow, find girlfriends, and with their, jobs that nobody can make any money anymore, have 10 kids. It's just not happening.
No. And even those who can are kind of using it as an excuse not to try because they're so terrified of getting their feelings hurt and being the victim of a failed marriage.
Yeah, but also economics. Don't rule that part out. I mean, how do you have kids these days on our wages and everything? And how would you have more than one or two?
Well, at least you try with one, I suppose. And I think it's the poverty of hope. I mean, I guess our ancestors would think, wow, you got benefits, you can live free, you don't have to work. Can't you at least manage to have one baby? You know? And they will think the present generation very degenerate. And I think what we both have in common is that we have our different ideas about how to fix it. And um, I, I think we kind of arrived at an epiphany yesterday about how to fix it. At least I thought you had more or less decided in your mind that Hinduism is so much worse than Islam, and because it's a recent thing, I hope you will expand a little on it. But after I give people the background of who you are a political activist and you promote beyondism, which is the idea of dividing members of society into different competing groups in order to find the best amongst them. Is that roughly correct, Vincent?
Yes, and then everyone views each other and says, "Well, this works. This doesn't work. Let's incorporate this. Let's get rid of that." Yes.
And your purpose is to um, make members of society more eugenic.
Yes, because everyone goes off in their own directions genetically and creates their own ethno state. And then you look at each other's genes and you might borrow someone else's genes in order to improve your own culture.
Can you give an example of that happening? Borrowing people's genes? You mean marrying out?
Well, yes, or if you did artificial insemination or something like that. I mean, yes, marrying out, or if, yeah, somehow, however their plan is to do it, but I'm more, because now I only focus on gay people, so I didn't care about straight people. It's marriage and emotion and all this other kind of stuff. If we're using surrogates or artificial wombs or humanized animals, wombs, then it's just, yeah, you just take the semen and you inject it into an egg and you grow the baby and you have a mixed race baby because you wanted to do it. And everything is much easier when you just focus on gay people, because straight people mess everything up. It's too complicated. It's very hard to run experiments genetically on them and do selective breeding with them, because they want to marry who they want to marry, and they don't care about having children of a certain type. They just want love. And it's not conducive to eugenics. Heterosexuality is not conducive to eugenics. It's just,
What sort of children would you like to have?
all different kinds. You create breeds, right? You create breeds of human beings through genetic engineering and incest, like we do in animal breeding. So you siphon them out. So what you do is you find a personality type or a physical type or an emotional type, and you inbreed or genetically engineer for that to a certain degree. If you're inbreeding, you can only do it to a certain degree before it stops working and becomes unhealthy. But you create all these different strains, and people would just create their own strains, and groups would create their own strains of humans. So like, Icelandic people tend to be very related to each other. There was only 300,000 of them, and they came from a small population, and they all came from the same place. So Icelandic people are almost like an inbred type of strain of human beings, if you will. But we would just strain it out more than that. Like, we know there's lots of, just we strain it out more than that. And Icelandic people are very liberal, and I think that has to do with their DNA. Scandinavian people are liberal, and so if you wanted more of a liberal population, you would strain. You would kind of want to breed with them, if it's genetically based, which I think it is.
Right, so what kind of breed would you like to breed, Vincent?
Well, I would really only. Well, I think that you should try to kind of create an improved version of yourself. So, the idea would be you get an egg, and you inseminate it. And if you don't have artificial wombs and you can't do it without women, I would give birth to a daughter, and then I would take her egg and I would inseminate it with my sperm again. So I would do that a few times. I couldn't do it forever, and I would have to start slightly breeding in. What I would do is I would find similar people to me and use their DNA to breed in just enough so that I don't have to deal with the detrimental effects of incest. But I would recreate myself, but in a better version. So I kind of make a colony of myself, but I use genetic engineering and selective breeding in order to kind of not exactly myself. I'm not perfect, and I don't want my children to have all of my problems. So, I
Well,
would.
you won't be cloning yourself even if the technology were available. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think there needs to be an improvement. I don't really think I should be cloned, but I think that maybe DNA tampering in order. But I want to keep some of it. I want to keep like a certain degree of it, but just better. Maybe
Right.
not.
So, Vincent, if you could choose the DNA of anyone to merge yours with, can you think of a person?
No, no, I haven't been looking, and no, I've never met anyone that's quite like me. That's why I mean, if I were going
But
to get a
Vincent, we
surrogate.
work so well together. What
No,
about
oh God, no,
Koran?
no,
We wouldn't
Claire,
have sexual intercourse, would we?
no, no, we wouldn't have to have sexual intercourse. But
That's one of the things that you wanted to emphasize, that sexual intercourse is not necessary.
yeah, exactly, it's not necessary. It's not
But
necessary
wouldn't
at all. Um, no, it's not necessary,
well,
and
I feel a bit offended. You don't want any of my DNA? How dare you?
no, why don't you? I mean, Claire, I mean, I think you should do your own experiment, but in reverse, you would have to have a son, and that you would have to have someone similar to you pregnant you and give birth to a son.
No, I
And
would have somebody complimentary. I mean, obviously I don't want to. okay, any partnership would work if the other person does the thing that you can't do. I mean, that would be the basis of any long-term partnership. That one is interdependent. The thing that you can't do, I can do, and vice versa.
Well, you want someone who's more all around rounded so they can do it on their own, but they're partnering to basically amplify their positive traits. You know what I mean? And that,
Don't I amplify your positive traits, Vincent?
no, you don't amplify my positive traits.
Why not? But who else will stream with you regularly?
Well, nobody, but I mean, I don't think we're compatible when it comes to DNA, Claire. I think that
Well, who else would be better than my genes?
I don't know. I haven't been searching for her.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. But in the meantime, continue our a partnership of dialogue and conversation.
What?
I said, in the meantime, we will have to continue our partnership of dialogue and conversation with each other online to promote our ideas as foils to each other's. Are you familiar with the concept of a foil?
No.
Well, in English literature, they would say a certain character is a foil to this other character, meaning the opposite of, or whatever characteristics the character in question is supposed to represent. Or maybe you didn't do that part of English literature, but anyway, characters have a kind of, purpose in a story. Like,
Yeah.
if one is foolish and the other is wise, then, the wise one is obviously a foil to the other's foolishness. A bit like Esau and Jacob, if you
Yes,
know the
foils.
story.
Yes, I got it. Well, we'll be foils to each other, and well, yeah, we're foils to each other, but that's that.
So, I mean, how would you characterize your characteristics? So you can say, well, I'm a bit hot tempered, so I need somebody a bit calming. I'm a bit, too tall, so maybe I want somebody who is quite short to
Well,
even
no, I
out.
want to replicate myself, but so I would find someone similar, but perhaps um with some improvements. I'm very everyone considers things to be, if you're impatient, it's a bad trait. But, impatience, it changes your personality and might make you like act and behave in certain ways where you're actually have the best method in the room, or okay, everyone's like, okay, if you have poor emotional regulation, you're like fucked, and that's bad to have, and everyone should be the stoic. But like, my problem is that I have very, strong emotions, and it actually, everyone's like, how do you have the energy to do all this stuff and write all these articles and do all these YouTubes against, this stuff that you don't like? It's because I'm very emotional. Because like what, like when I get very depressed by what's happening in the world, and then when I write an article or do a YouTube video, I get a moment of relief from that emotion. And people who are more stoic, they wouldn't need that constant, they're not looking for that constant high. They don't need to like write another article and do another YouTube video and find another piece of information, because they're fine and they can sit there and they can meditate, and they can retreat for a month into the woods and not
Mhm.
do anything because they're fine,
I think I do the
and
same thing as you when I pick a fight with people online. It's like, oh, I feel so aggressive. I must find somebody to insult or
yeah,
challenge.
but that can be helpful, yes. And if you never get mad, and so you never use biting words, and you never tell anyone the way they need to hear it, and so you're just totally calm, but also like you don't have strong love emotions either. You're not attached, you're not overly attached, and these different kinds of things. And Attachment to this world makes you react and do things to the world. That's why I think, not meditating actually helped the white race, because um it made us more sensitive to our physical reality. And instead of going within and retreating, we changed physical reality to better suit us. We, built houses, and we used science to make unnatural things for ourselves, so we didn't have to deal with the elements, and we didn't have
Central
to deal with.
heating,
Yeah, I mean,
refrigeration. Mm.
exactly. Like, we rather than just, saying, okay, we can't change this world. Let me meditate to the point that I can't even feel bug bites on me. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And like, that's, there's Hindus and Buddhists that, they meditate to the point that they can't even physically feel shit. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's that good. I
No,
mean,
no, it's like saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna live as if I'm dead." I mean, what the hell is the point of that? But you said earlier that the world upsets you. What about the world upsets you?
the I mean, the fact that there's all these conservative traditionalist ideologies that are against everything that I am. When you wake up as a gay idolatrous blasphemer in a world full of monotheists, it
Well, they're
doesn't
not
make.
monotheists. They're atheists who worship their own dumb opinions.
When there's tons of monotheists, and monotheism, the Abrahamic religions are having a resurgence now. Like, they're coming back, and also just any existence of it. I don't care if it's 50% of the population. That's too much. You know, uh, and not like, okay, that's the so I'm very emotional and I feel pain very deeply. So you know what? To me, 50% of the population being Abrahamic is too much. For you, for something you don't like, if there's any, you can tolerate some of it. Just that's why I think you're less sensitive, so you'll allow idolatry and blasphemy under secular Quranism, because you're not that sensitive to it. It's not like I can't tolerate it. You think it's bad, but
Because I know the Quran tolerates it.
I know, but that,
That's
like,
why I tolerate it. I
you
do
wouldn't
follow
like
it literally.
you wouldn't like the Quran if you couldn't tolerate it. Then if you couldn't tolerate idolatry, you'd say the Quran doesn't go far enough for me. You chose the Quran because it works with your opinions.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not that anti-idolatrous. You're
But
only a
but
little.
yesterday you were saying that secular Quranism would be preferable to no Haidism. So I that was when I was a little well I don't I don't think I don't think you've made up your
I didn't
mind.
say Noahidism would be. I never said Noahidism. I never said Noahidism would be worse than secular Quranism. It's always been my contention that secular Quranism doesn't fit with my agenda. I don't want mediocre Abrahamism so that nobody reacts. I don't like that. Just like I don't like when Jews, Christians, and Muslims pretend their religion isn't homophobic, because that confuses things. It's a confusion, and then people don't react. I want reaction. I want the flame to be red hot so people run away from it. I don't want a lukewarm rag that, anyone can touch and not get burned.
So you want people to have religious convictions, moral convictions, something
Yeah,
like that?
yes, you're not going to have if you don't have moral convictions, nothing is going to bother you. You're just going to tolerate everything. But if you have convictions and you believe that something's right and that something's wrong and you're willing to stand for it, no, you're not going to be very tolerant. Tolerance is not an Orthodox Jewish trait. They don't tolerate things, and that's why all these rabbis and these yeshivas that have gay clubs and stuff are not tolerating it. They're writing these articles and saying this is disgusting and we can't have this in the yeshivas.
Do you secretly consider yourself Jewish?
No, I don't. I just absorb things from them, just like I absorb things from Cattell, just like I absorb things from Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I mean? Just like, Christian Scientists are obsessed with publishing the word. That's a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, publish the word. Why wouldn't I steal that? Why wouldn't I steal things from Jews? This is what the alt-right will never get, is that Jews have a lot of virtues and have a lot of good ideas and just steal them, but they don't want to be Judaized. To them, That is Judaism. Being overly serious is Jewish. Being overly intellectual is Jewish. Getting retaliation is Jewish. Being totally 100% not accepting, is Jewish. If you became so red hot that you wouldn't tolerate, you know, the alt right always just tolerates a little bit of homosexuality, a little bit of feminism, a little bit of this. There's always a tiny bit with the white man where, there's that fraction that's always accepted, and the goddesses instead of a god, and, all this other kind of stuff. And that's just not Jewish. That's not Jewish to make those compromises.
So, are you closer to being an anti-Semite or a philo-Semite?
I admire Jews for things that they do right, and things I admire Jews for their, not their theology, but for their tactics. Like, for their conquest tactics. You know what I mean? And
Can you name one?
well, I think the Noahide laws are very good,
Well, I
conquest
use
tactics.
that. I think that that's what we have in common with each other. We're using the no-hide laws to help us accomplish our ends.
Yeah, just like with my gay militant stuff on gaymilitant.blogspot.com, I made a list and a law. I made a set of lists. They're not all like exactly laws. Some of them are precepts or concepts, but I did say things like no this, no that, no monotheism, no denying that God can enter the physical universe. I did make anti. It's a law with
You
a legal.
created heresies.
No, but yes, but it's a law with a legal system. I'm not writing theology. I'm writing rules about theology, and that I'm saying what you can't do. But I'm not exactly. It's not like this is not a theological treatise. It's treatise. It's not a theological treatise. It's not necessarily there to make a religion for you. It's a set of laws, just like the Noahide laws are. Just and the Jews have it right. Don't Christians have it wrong in that have proper thinking, worship God the proper way, think of God the proper way, instead of here's the rules, this is what you have to do, and if you don't do it, you're punished. You know what I mean? And I think that's just that legalism is a better system than what the white man has himself wrapped up in, and that he wants to contemplate the mysteries of the universe. What the fuck is contemplating the Trinity going to get you except for nothing?
So the Trinity is just white people just wallowing in hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo.
Yes, which they have a problem with, and I will admit that. Now, the thing is that to a degree it does help in that I think, well, two things that, you're thinking abstractly, and then the second thing is that there is the mechanics to the occult, to hocus pocus. There is a false mechanics there. There's a false, it's called pseudo logic. And if you're practicing pseudo logic all day, look, it's easier to talk about theology and pseudo logic than it is to talk about complex mathematics. So it's hard, if you don't have a pen and paper and you don't know mathematics, it's very hard to improve your logic through it. And, most people don't want to sit around talking about, A plus C equals D, and, or learning geometry. So if you sit around practicing pseudo logic with religion all day, it does help your brain learn. It does help your brain learn, and also it helps with creativity. So you could just, with theology, you can think of anything you want, you can make up anything you want, you can make up any system you want. And I think that white people are creative and logical, and so they're wrapped up in probably more mumbo jumbo than the other races are, and it hurts and helps them at the same time. Like, that very creative, weird thinking helps them. But what I'm saying is, you can think creative and weird in a different, create creative and weird laws. Okay, create creative and weird. You know, yeah, create creative and weird laws to affect physical reality, and some of them have to be theological because it changes the way people think and behave. Like, one of the things in that gaymilitant.blogspot.com, and the law is to, you know, not totally reject. I didn't make it illegal, but a basic culture of rejection of free will. You know what I mean? Because free will is just absolute fucking nonsense. And you're not going to get anywhere scientifically about understanding the brain and consciousness if you believe in free will. How do you measure free will? How do you scientifically reduce free will? If you think that everything is just brain chemistry, you're going to get to the root of consciousness. But if you think you have free will, then that's the end of science. It's just hocus pocus. It's just you just made this decision out of the ether. It came out of nowhere. There was no antecedent or preceding biochemical reaction that was totally in control. You were in control of the biochemical reaction. You thought it, and so your brain produced it. Instead of your brain producing it and then you thought it.
Sorry, what's the difference? Why is it important to make that distinction, and how can you
Because
help?
one is magic and superstition and the end of science, and one is science and allows for further reduction to understand the deterministic nature of consciousness.
What does the deterministic nature of consciousness mean?
It means that your brain is controlled by the physical universe, and your thoughts are controlled by the physical universe, and you don't have any free agency. You can't just think whatever you want. What you think is controlled. You're not in control of what you're thinking.
But people can do things to show that they are free agents
No, they can't,
or
Claire. I
moral agents
no,
by
I
changing their religion, for
that's
example.
not that's no, you changed your religion because your brain chemistry lent you to that. You didn't change your religion. You're not in control. There's no evidence for free will, Claire. If you're going to tell me
Do you not have free will then,
no, I
Vincent?
don't, Claire. There's no evidence of it. And it's pointless to
But you change
discuss.
your mind all the time.
That's not free will.
Okay, so what are the conditions that have to exist before you acknowledge the existence of free will?
There would have to be a scientific study that could prove it.
Okay, what would need to be proven?
There's no way to prove it. There's no way to prove it. So, there's no way to prove it.
Okay, my position is that we all have free will, but some of us don't want it, don't want to use it. It's like something we have that we never use. I think that resolves this conundrum, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't, because your view is not scientific and makes no sense.
It's logical.
No, it's not. Free will is not logical, Claire. There's nothing logical about free will.
Well, the idea of free will has a purpose, doesn't
Has a
it?
purpose, but it's not logical. Just because something has a purpose doesn't mean it's logical.
Okay, but what do you think is the purpose of the concept of free will?
To make you feel as though you're in charge of your actions so that you feel guilty if you do something wrong, and you feel good about yourself if you did something right. But determinists feel that naturally. I mean, if I do something bad, I feel guilty. If I do something right, I don't need free will to think that. I just naturally feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, I have a value. So, and then I act on it. And so I feel as though I've done the right thing. So I feel good about myself. And, but I don't need that conviction of like, oh, I was totally in control of this situation, and I'm not just some automaton. Like, I'm an actual, okay, so I would say I'm a good automaton. Thank God that this universe set me up so that I'm a good automaton rather than a bad one.
But this brings us to theology because uh, angels apparently have no free will. They are automatons carrying out faithfully the orders of God. And while humans have free will, I suppose if the concept of free will has a purpose, it is to um, flatter us into thinking, oh, we can believe in God or we can not believe in God, but only the good bits of us make us want to believe in God, as well as the logical bits of us make us want to believe in God. Because you may recall a conversation with Khaled who said it's logical to believe in God.
Well, if it
Do
was
you remember him
logical,
saying that?
Okay, if it was logical, everyone would do it. Everyone believes in gravity, except for those fucking idiots in the cube that tell me that, it doesn't exist or there's no proof that it exists because I can't do an experiment. I can't, whatever. You know what I mean? Except for people like that, everyone thinks that gravity is a logical proposition, but not everyone believes God is a logical proposition. And this is what you do. And this is very heterosexual and this is very monotheistic to just say, well, some of us think that this is logical, so therefore it is. And if you don't agree with us, it's wrong. And, I don't see the logicalness of God or monotheism.
Well,
And
may I have the opportunity of explaining to you the logic of God?
you've done it. That I know that the logic is that the universe couldn't have created itself, and there's no way within the laws of science that material matter could have arisen from itself unless the universe and material itself is God, which is idolatry. But some people don't want to believe that. So if you don't want to believe that, you have to say God is this magical creature that lives outside of space time, created the universe, and that's it. And like, but it's much more logical to believe that that material is God, so it just never had any beginning or end.
Do you think you prefer the view that the universe was uncreated in order to disobey the laws of God?
Not disobey the laws of God, but so that I don't have to believe God is a magical creature outside of space time. I don't need to believe in magic.
But you said when you did believe in God that it gave you comfort.
No, it didn't. I was never happy when I was religious, except yes, when I was Hindu, excuse me. Um, when I was Hindu, I did not that it gave me comfort, but I enjoyed my gods that I was involved in. But it was more because of what they represented and what they stood for, or at least what I thought they stood for. It wasn't so much that like, oh, God exists and so I'm taken care of and somebody in the universe loves me. I never really thought of it that way. It was more like a persona, like enjoying a certain kind of person.
What do you mean? You enjoyed the act of worship? Is that
No,
what you said?
I enjoyed the act of thinking about this God with this certain personality, like I would enjoy the presence of a certain human.
Could you explain a bit more?
Oh,
What you mean?
Claire, these are very simple concepts, but I just said that I was more interested in the personality of the God and feeling comfort from thinking about this personality like I would an individual human. Like, oh, I like hanging out with this person, or I like reading this person's writing. I liked reading the scripture associated with certain gods. It made me feel good.
Oh, right. So may we know the identity of this
It
deity?
was Kamadeva. It was Kamadeva, but I turned him into something nice, and he was probably just another fucking asshole Hindu god. And
What was he supposed to represent?
the god of love and sex.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
and
okay, but this brings us to the Abrahamic God, doesn't it? It's like there's this mysterious being that created the universe, who knows our hearts and minds, who is good and will help us if we're good, and will get us to the better place when we are dead.
well, he
Um,
doesn't seem good to me. You know what I mean? Like, and why can't a god who's material know our hearts and minds?
no, the point is that the Abrahamic God is immaterial.
I know, but what I'm saying, if you believe God is in the material, that doesn't stop him from knowing your heart and mind, and that doesn't stop him from being good. And you just don't need to rely on magic.
Well, the thing is, it's not really magic in the sense that you can't actually disprove the existence of God.
You can't disprove the existence of magic either.
Yes, but the whole idea is that somehow it has worked for the Jews, who who were the
Who have a
first people.
horrible history of being genocided and unable to maintain their own culture.
But I mean, whatever their culture is Jewish culture, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know. Well, it hasn't worked very well for them. It's not like this is like some paradise for the Jews.
but
Half
I
of
mean,
them don't
okay,
want it.
however lowly they seem to you to be, they are. in a way, higher in status than Christians and Muslims because Christians and Muslims are always complaining about them and saying that Jews control the world, even though
Okay, well,
it
I'm
is actually
saying we could
Christians
do a
who
lot
control the
better.
world.
If the Jews are the best you think you can do, Claire, then I feel bad for you. If that's your highest benchmark, then I feel bad for you.
Well, I mean, I guess Jews would say, well, we've been around for longer than the other Abrahamic religions. All things being equal, you would have expected us to have been extinct, bearing in mind all the attempts by all these Gentiles to genocide us. But
Claire,
for some reason, we're still around.
you can't think of anything better than the Jews, and that's sad. I
Well,
mean,
can you think of anything better? A
well, I know,
religious
but
group with a higher
you
status?
don't like anything that's an attempt to do something new. So, like, can I think of something that I would like better? Then yes, I can. But because you just
It's
think that
not
any
in existence.
I know, but what's in existence doesn't work. And like, this is what conservatives do. I mean, this machine is broken, barely working, but you don't want a new machine. And you don't want anyone to invent anything new because you have control of the patent. You want to hold your patent and you want to keep this miserable system in existence because you're the only one making money off of it and everyone is miserable and it doesn't work and it keeps collapsing, but you won't let anything new to come in because you can't think of anything new and you wouldn't want to be controlled by better people. Dumb people don't want to be controlled by smart people because then they'll set up the society for smart people and dumb people will be lost.
But don't you see the problem between the transfer of technology, or okay, well, I think what I mean is the um, intermediate arrangements from, the changeover from one system to another, and you're saying your system will take quite a while to establish, and in the meantime, uh, everything goes wrong, and it's
Well,
very experimental.
I'm expecting for things to decline, but I'm expecting to try to create some kind of alliance between people. I'm not trying to save the whole world. Most people are not worth saving. I'm just trying to get the people who are worth saving and creating something that can't be destroyed, while the world collapses.
Well, I think the transitional arrangements have to be made, well, they have to be publicized so people think, oh, it's not too bad. We can bear to, um, you know, make the changeover. It's sort of like, well, you live in a house, it's falling to pieces, it's been condemned, but you still want to live in it because you have nowhere else to go. But if there are transitional, arrangements, you can say, well, we can live in tents for a bit in the summer. We'll make sure that by the time winter comes, there'll be a new building for us to move into again. You have to, make some similar um, promise before people will do it because they'll think, well, if we all leave our home now, there will be no shelter from the rain or shade from the sun, and we will just die. So, I mean, what I'm proposing, secular Quranism, is a transitional arrangement. And I think we all know that things were not that great when you tried to start a new religion. I mean, even for the Muslims, I mean, there was persecution of Muslims, persecution of Christians, persecution of Jews. People didn't really have a fun time trying to get their fringe belief adopted by the mainstream.
Yeah, well, they did it and it worked. Maybe at the time that was the best that anyone could think of. And, it was just the best that people could come up with. And so they came up with it and they implemented it and they dealt with the fact that it wasn't great. And because they couldn't think of anything better, but now we can think of better things. I mean, it's like not improving on, architecture and the creation of buildings. You built one building, but you learned, okay, it's not good to put the hot water here and it's not good to put the cold water here or the sewage here and to design the kitchens like this because the stoves and the pipes don't line up and all these different kinds of things and it's pollution and actually if you put this in the house it makes you sick, and then so you fix it. You make the next building and it's much better. It's an improvement and everyone wants to move into it. But your whole thing is, well, this is the best we have. We might as just
Yeah, yeah.
rebuild.
I'm saying Islam is monotheism Mark III. It's the most advanced version. And it's also the final version because, well, according to the Muslims, there will be no further revelation.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's also
that's so
it also has a track
authoritative.
record of 1400 years.
That's so authoritative. Oh, there's nothing after us because we said so. You know what I mean? And that's really going to convince people.
Well, I mean, people have tried, their own little ideas and they've crashed and burnt, haven't they? Socialism,
Oh,
communism, nationalism, liberalism, fascism,
yes,
atheism.
Islam doesn't rise, so it doesn't fall either. It doesn't, it's like this static swamp. You know what I mean? It's like, we're this swamp water and we're always here and we're never going away. And like, but you're swamp creatures, you know what I mean? Who wants to live in a fucking swamp?
Well, I'm saying secular Quranism is going to change the water for clearer, less poisonous liquid. Because, I mean, we have the historical perspective to work out where they all went wrong. Because, we can look back and, oh, well, I know why the Ottoman Empire fell, because they did this and they didn't do that. And, well, I have that knowledge just by, having a look at their history. I've diagnosed a problem. I've diagnosed a problem with Judaism and Christianity. And I think your new idea will just be very hard to set up and will be considered too experimental and
Yeah, for
dangerous.
who? I'm not you looking for the masses, Claire. I'm not going out on the, spreading my stuff to anyone but militant gay people. I'm not spreading
But
it.
you don't even know anyone
It's Claire,
else.
I know, but I just started, spreading it. And yes, I haven't spread it in the gay community yet because I don't want to post it in gay, Facebook groups because I don't want to get it taken down and thrown out of the group. I'm waiting. I'm going through the only channel I have, which is these alt-right people, and I'm waiting for it to actually someone who's actually gay. I don't know how it's going to get to them, but
But why
I'm
can't you say that you're the Lord Protector of gay rights under secular Quranism?
I don't want because I don't want secular Quranism.
Okay, so you prefer no
Because that's just leading
homophobia.
to you just want this all to lead to Islam. You're asking me to become a servant of Islam.
Well, just I don't know, uh, an assistant.
Of Islam. Why would I become an assistant of
No, it
Islam?
wouldn't be Islam. It'd be secular Quranism with American
Yeah,
characteristics.
but you wanted to go into Islam. You have admitted that secular Quranism will just lead to Islam.
Well, would that be a bad thing?
Oh God, Claire, I'm not answering that question. If you don't understand at this point I'm against Muslims, then I don't know what to tell you.
Well, yesterday you were saying that you'd rather be Muslim
That
than
doesn't mean
Hindu.
I'm not anti-Muslim. You're not deep enough, Claire, to understand that someone could be anti-Muslim and still say, well, I prefer it over. Okay, you asked me not prefer what I would want. What kind of takeover would I want? What kind of aggression would I prefer against white people? I would prefer um Islam because it's more obvious and people wake up. I have a reason not to want Hinduism because it's more insidious. It's harder to see. People won't believe. People won't see it. They'll convert to it. You know what I mean? They'll think it's not a threat. Hindus are so docile. They're not going to hurt us. Gay people. Hinduism is much more accepting of gay people and this and that. I don't want that. I told you I want something that people wake up from. I want a hot flame. I don't want lukewarm water that nobody's scared to touch. It doesn't, scare anyone into, siding with. Just like the Nazis only were in power. They could only ride before they actually came to full power. They were only popular when the economy was crashing. When the economy was not crashing, nobody wanted to hear about them.
Well, Hindus.
I said Nazis. Claire, you're
Oh,
starting.
right. Okay, that was a bit of a jump. Okay, can you tell us what the process was when you converted to Hinduism? Was there some
No,
exam?
there's
Some.
there's no exam, there's no process. You just join whatever thing you want. You read the book that you want, and you say, it's like becoming a Christian. You don't have to be baptized. I mean, you just say, Jesus, come into my heart, and you're saved. And and it's not like you have to go through some elaborate ritual.
Well, Catholics do. They have this thing called a confirmation ceremony. Do you know what it is?
Yes, but yeah, Catholics are a little bit different. But like most Christians, they either baptize the child as a baby, but or they baptize themselves, or some of them don't. There's Christians out there that scream day and night about baptism because not all Christians believe in baptism. They say you're not getting saved until you're baptized. But I mean, when it comes to non-denominational Christianity, does everyone believe you need to be baptized? No, I mean
Well,
you
you need
can
to be
just.
confirmed. Okay. I mean, there's a whole story
You are
behind it.
confirmed, but you're on a register at your church. That is confirmation.
No, 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 no. Let me explain to you very quickly the history of the Anabaptists. So originally they were people who were baptized as infants, and then they said, well, we don't know anything about it. We can't, we don't know anything about this Trinity thing. What is it again? And they were basically burnt at the stake for heresy because they were saying, we want to know this thing that you told us what we were. And and the government of the time was so ruthless that they just executed them for asking for this and mocked them and called them Anabaptists. It's like those are the people who wanted to be baptized again. Who the hell do they think they are, wanting to be baptized again? So actually, there were two different kinds of baptisms. So the first one was infant baptism, when the infant obviously had no view about Jesus and his divinity, and um and the confirmation ceremony was actually saying, okay, well, we'll kind of respect you as an individual, and so you can, when you're in your teens, get yourself confirmed as a Christian. It's kind of like the bar mitzvah.
Okay, Anabaptists don't control Christianity and they don't define
No,
all
I
Christianity.
know they don't, but this practice still has social significance in Europe. I mean, not in
I know, but
America.
not everyone believes in that. I mean, some Christians believe in baptism and some don't.
I know, but
I know,
I
and
know.
and to you being on a register at your church and attending meetings and saying that you're a Christian isn't enough. You have to go to the government and get a certificate.
Yes, because the whole process of confirmation is basically, I mean, they big it up into something. I mean, Jay told me about, or his father's confirmation ceremony was, the bishop would come and put his hand on the heads of the children, or on the teens who wanted confirmation. And to be confirmed means that you are a paid up member of society when it mattered. And it showed that your parents are respectable. They managed to get you into church and managed to get you attending church for long enough, attended enough Sunday schools, and, took your confirmation classes, and which resulted in this confirmation ceremony, which is a kind of a Christian um, rendition of the bar mitzvah, because for the Jews it's sort of, the parents are responsible for the sins of their child until he until his bar mitzvah, and it's
Okay,
also considered to be the age of criminal responsibility.
Claire, if you think that people need government certificates to call themselves a certain religion, then I can't help you. I mean, you don't need a government certificate to be a Christian.
Well, in the olden days, when all the subjects of the king had to be Christian because that was how it was.
Okay, that's the olden days. You don't, the government does not need to certify that you're a bona fide Hindu. Okay, Hindus don't need a certificate from the government of India to be Hindus.
Yeah, because they don't really care about it. We're talking about the difference between organized religion and the Eastern religions.
Where do Muslims in America have government certificates that they're Muslims?
Yeah, because America is not a Muslim country.
Does the gov in Muslim countries they give you a certificate that says you're Muslim?
I don't know about a certificate, but some people are just presumed to be Muslim, and the people
Okay,
say,
so
no, no, I'm Jewish, I'm
Muslims
Christian, I'm
don't need
Buddhist, or whatever.
certificates. Muslims don't need certificates, but everyone else does.
Well, if you live in a okay, you just have to say your religion, right? You have to say what your religion is, and then you kind of get, you get put into your group, and then you get the privileges or the disadvantages of the group that you're in, and all
I know.
empires do that.
Okay, I know everyone's I know like people are gonna really, not only, you know, they can't just be religious, they have to get a certificate from the government. That's
Because this is how okay, I was just looking at the Indonesian empire, and they have six religions, and obviously Indonesia is Muslim. So the biggest group is Islam, and then Christianity, and then Hinduism, and then Buddhism, and then Confucianism, and the other lot. So um, you can already deduce from how I say it, which group is the number one mainstream, you know, group in Indonesia, the Muslim
does
group.
the Indonesian government give out certificates to Christians?
I don't know, but
Let's look it up. Let's see if the Indonesian government gives certified.
no, I think you just have to say which group you want to come under, and you have heard of Tovia Singer, haven't you?
Yes, of course.
Rabbi Tovia.
About him
I'm
all the
sorry, I have to
time.
do this in case of the people who have heard this only for the first time. So Rabbi Tovia Singer is a rabbi who was in Indonesia for a bit, and he got friendly with the Muslims, and he understood how the Indonesian imperial system worked. And he was disgusted by the few Jews in Indonesia when and they was when the Indonesian government, would you like to be in the Christian group or would you like to be in the Muslim group? Because you guys, you Jews, are too few in number to deserve a group of your own. So you have to choose whether you want to be classified with the Christians or the Muslims. And guess what they chose?
The
These
Muslims.
Jews. No, they chose to be known as Christian, and that was what disgusted Rabbi Tovia Singer so much, because he thinks Christianity is idolatry. And it's the same system in China, because China also has a list of approved religions that they tolerate, Catholicism, Protestantism, Buddhism, that kind of thing. And they had but Christians and Muslims, but nothing for Jews, because they are too few in number to deserve a group of their own. So I think there is a lot of
Well, that's dumb
feeling.
to not classify Jews as Jews. That's dumb to not, just because there's too few, not too few, just because there's only a few Jews in your country doesn't mean that they shouldn't be their own registered religion. That's not a very intelligent way to do things.
Well, you know about the register of Jews that secular Quranism proposes.
Well, there would be a register for everyone, obviously, at this point. Everyone would be registered because you say nobody can be whatever they want to be without a government certificate.
Well, I mean, the atheists could say, well, we want to be, a group for atheists, agnostics, and, pantheists and panentheists, and, people with, their own wacky ideas. Maybe we'd like a group for heretics or, So yes, you can have a group just for atheists and agnostics and heretics, but that would be the lower status group, and you don't want to be in that group, would you?
Well, I don't know, but this idea that and then so every time someone changes their religion, they have to go get a new certificate.
Yeah.
Well, what if they don't take their religion that seriously and they don't want a
Then they
certificate?
would they just stay in their own group and not do what they're supposed to do, but still have the protection and identity of their religious group. Lots of people do that. That's why people call themselves Christian, and even though they haven't been baptized or confirmed, lots of Westerners do that. And if you ask them, what religion they might be, they'll just have to think of their ancestral religion, even if their parents never went to church. They'll just have to say, oh, well, America is a Christian nation, or whatever. They'd have to somehow attach themselves to the land that they happen to be in, you know, the
I
land of
didn't.
their.
I don't think, Claire. You tell me that no one's going to pick up my ideas. I don't think most people want to have to go to the government to get a certificate to be considered Christian.
Well, somebody has to consider them
Well,
Christian.
they consider them. They consider each other Christians.
I think you have noticed that, Christians and Muslims and Jews like calling each other heretics as a way of showing status
I know. So
or
you're going to have
acquiring
the government.
status.
Well, then what is the government going to decide? What is Judaism and who's a Jew and what's heretical and what's not allowed? And you can't get a certificate because you're in the wrong denomination and you believe this.
Well, the thing is, you can say, well, I'm a Jew, and then you do things, and, like you never keep the Sabbath, or you do something terrible that your group wants to kick you out, and they kick you out. It's called
I know, but I thought all these
excommunication.
people didn't agree. I thought they were all calling each other heretics, so not everyone's going to throw you out. Some will, some won't. So who's the government going to side with?
Well, I guess it depends on how much the government cares about your um your religious identity. It really depends on how strict that group is. And how seriously they take their religion. But you can imagine, can't you, that obviously Jews they oh, well, we're in the top group. We really have to reserve standards. We can't let ourselves become like that group over there full of heretics, agnostics, and people who don't even know what the hell religion they are and make up crap about their own religion, like Jay Walker. Oh, talking about Jay Walker, I think he kind of wants to come on Koraniyule, and I said, oh Jay, what would you like to talk about? And then he does his usual thing about how Christianity works for him, and I just can't do it again. Would you like to host that? Would you like to host that stream if he will do it with you? He'll probably say, if I can't, get there to lose her temper, I won't do it at all.
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. It'll be more fun because everybody's seen me lose my temper with Jay. When he says, "Oh, Christianity wasn't followed properly. I know how to follow it properly. And look at me, I'm so wonderful, even though I don't believe in the divinity of Jesus. And if you ask me where I thought I was going after I'm dead, I would say I don't know." So you can deal with that, and I'll plug that stream, assuming Jay wants to do it. Oh, and somebody likes you, Vincent.
Who? Who likes
Um,
me?
well, he's a bit of an anti-Semite. I've streamed with him. He's thinking of coming, being a guest on Koraniyule, so I won't tell. I'll tell you his name in case he gets embarrassed or whatever. But he said he was enjoying our streams. I mean, I would
Okay.
like him to be on Koraniyule,
Well,
and
why would you? He just likes our streams, or he likes me?
he says he was enjoying you, and then I said, oh, he said, oh, I was enjoying your stream with the gay white nationalist, and I said, oh, you mean Vincent? And he said, um, and he said, oh, no, Bruno. And then he just seemed a bit confused or maybe embarrassed to have said that he liked you or something. But anyway, I think he meant to say he liked you, and then he thought, oh, what am I saying? How can I, a white nationalist, say that I like Vincent, you know. But anyway, I thought I'd mention it to you to make your day. And to say that there are intelligent people who like our streams, even though, we're obviously not as popular as Stephen to James. Did you
Hold
listen to
on.
any of his stuff yesterday?
No, what did he say?
Oh, it just really annoys me. And he says, "Oh, this is but in my position, I can't say anything." he sort of, oh, I have to protect my channel, so I can't join in this discussion, and I must disavow. Well, I find it triggering anyway.
Yes, it is. You
And
know,
then he frets, oh, I won't have any children. It's like, yeah, nobody's going to want to breed with you when you talk like that. I mean, would you breed with a man who talks like that?
no.
I think it's sort of, okay, this is what I think of Dubin. Dubin every now and then remembers to say, oh, I'm such a failure as a Jew because I'm not married with children. And it's like, you don't want to be married with children. You would never go on a date with a woman in case she seduces you and 3 months later says, oh, David, I'm carrying your child. Now you have to marry me. And I think he would rather die than, you know, have to marry a woman and put up with her shit and pay for the baby. And I think, in a way, Stephen's like that. He just wants to make all these noises. Oh, I'm so concerned. I might, oh, birth rate of white people who might be reduced to be, in zoos as, interesting exotic specimens. And it's like, well, if you really cared about your race, then you'd say, well, we have to use a religion that at least respects the practice of marriage and makes, white men marry white women and have children, legitimate children, and make white husbands and wives stay together. He could say that, but he won't because he doesn't want to upset his degenerate viewers and subscribers. So he's not going to say that and lose his monetization or lose his subscribers. So every now and then he'll remember to go, oh, I'm so sad. I'm going to, white people are going to be reduced into zoological specimens. And it's like, it's so obvious what he has to do, but he's not going to do it. Same as Duvet, that's why they get along so well. And I applaud you, Vincent. You may be gay, but you know what needs to be done. I mean, you're actually, you're saying, yes, I'd like to have children, but I couldn't bear the thought of having to live with a woman. Well, I think you're not the only one, and other heterosexual men think like you.
Well, yeah, I know. If you hate women so much, you can't sleep with them anymore. If you hate women too much, you can't sleep with them anymore. And if you're not going to find a woman if you're, you know, if all you want to talk about is misogyny. You know what I mean? It's like, and like, there are women. I know women get into politics, but like, these memes, and it's so disgusting. They post these memes about how shitty they are as boyfriends. Like, they post these memes of the girl crying because all he does is sit on Facebook all day and post stupid shit and get 2 likes, and he's so into it. You know what I mean? Ooh, this is a doozy. I got 2 likes, and then she's over in the corner crying. Please pay attention to me. Memes about ignoring your girlfriend while you play video games. I mean, this is what they portray themselves as.
Yeah, and they'll die without issue, and deservedly so.
Yeah, they do
And
deserve it. If you're not going to trick, look, you have to trick women. And that's why Muslims are doing so much better, because you have to trick women into being with you. You can't be honest with them. No woman is going to go for honesty. They want to be lied to, and they know they're being lied to, and that's why they're dangerous, because they don't even ask for better. They don't even ask for better. They're waiting for.
well, okay, white working class women in the UK were the first group to okay, they're the biggest group of converts because these white working class women who wanted to be married mothers knew that they couldn't rely on the men of their own race or their own class. And they knew they couldn't go to university to find a boyfriend there. So they thought, well, we're just going to convert to Islam and at least we'll be married mothers. And that's why white working class women are the biggest group of converts. They converted in order to find a husband. That's all they
Yes.
want.
Yes. And but that wouldn't work if Muslims were posting memes about I ignore my girlfriend and play video games all day. Like, they even if Muslims were behaving like that, no, they wouldn't become Muslims. They're only doing it because Muslims are slick. They're like, oh honey, I'll take care of you and you can stay at home and just have kids and we'll have a lovely life together and I love you so much. And aren't Arab men so schmoozy and generous and hospitable and all this other kind of stuff.
No. So now we know. And of course the women are likely to believe in that because it's like, oh, the Quran, there's this verse that says, men are a degree above women because they protect and provide. And they went, wow, protect, provide, that's what I want. So there you go. It is the only religion. It's not like, oh, I have 23 to choose from. It's that, yeah, that's, you're not going to choose the Eastern religions. And you're not going to choose to become Jewish and Christianity is kaput. There's only one. You should be grateful at how easy it is. And and I think my interpretation of the Quran is the most appealing to white people because of you, Vincent, because of you. If you become a secular Quranist, people will know that it can be flexible and not homophobic and give homosexuals rights.
Well, isn't that why John Vance left secular Quranism? Because you put out you said you started posting, you know, secular Quranism will be accepting of discreet lesbians and sodomites, and he got mad.
Yes, but there's so many things now he says in the cube that he doesn't even mention, and they're not even coherent. And I think John and Jay share the same view of secular Quranism. And I think if I made it safe for them socially and politically to support secular Quranism, they'd do it in a heartbeat. But as it is, it requires a certain uh, desire to speak one's mind to become a secular Quranist. And obviously, their friends and family would be shocked. They'd be, disgusted, curious, whatever. And these um, faint-hearted men just don't have it in them to actually defend themselves or um, promote the idea. I think that's really the problem. So Jay can't do it, John can't do it, um, but I think you're better than either of them because you have reasonably consistently done the same thing and promoted your ideas.
Yes, I know how to put together a sentence and fight for something that's logical and not based in mysticism. And I don't talk about things like the Trinity all day.
And I think you kind of see what's happening, if there you already said yesterday that if America had to endure an Asian takeover, an Islamic takeover would be preferable to the Hindu takeover. Oh yes, talking about Hinduism, is your antip did you discuss the caste system at all when you were learning about it?
Yes, but I thought it was not as bad as it really is.
I heard, okay, you've heard it said that Hinduism is an ethno religion, haven't you?
It's not anymore.
Well, okay. Let's say Hinduism has to incorporate the caste system because, well, that was kind of how it worked, and um, so you if it worked properly, it's like, yeah, the priesthood, they would have, their own genetics, and the warrior class, they would have their own genetics, and the Vaishyas and the Shudras and all, they would have their own. genetic characteristics. And maybe, if you converted to Hinduism to marry your spouse who obviously comes from one of the groups, then you would take on the caste of your um, Indian Hindu spouse. But if you converted without marrying anyone, then you just automatically go into uh, the untouchables. And I was wondering if your former Hindu associates were mocking you for that you converted yourself into being the lowest of the low in Hinduism.
Well, yeah, that's what I became. And the only reason that they didn't show that to me was because I was doing so much to help them and trying to save them. And they just weren't honest with me. And they just were treating me like an untouchable behind my back. They were nice to my face, but that's not what they really thought. And like, they would always make these chide comments, like trying to get me to leave. Like in Hinduism, ISKCON is kind of viewed not exactly like Hinduism and kind of like a little bit different. And so they're like, why don't you join ISKCON? They don't want you in their religion, you know what I mean? Or at least they don't want people like me. And well, there's two strains of thought that are equally potent in the Hindu community. One is that they want converts from all different races, and then the other one is that they don't. They want to remain Hindu and Indian, and some of them don't even want reversion of Muslims back into the Hindu fold. They don't want Muslims who convert back to Hinduism, even if they're of the right race, because they haven't had caste for a long time, and they haven't been, they're viewed as lost, and that's kind of like a problem in the Hindu community as well. But
Okay, so but you've got a very interesting story, and this is what you can do to warn dumb white people who convert to Hinduism. It's like, well, what you're doing is you've just put yourself into the lowest, well,
Well,
outside
I
even the
know
caste system.
I was the lowest, but if you convert to Hinduism and you're white, you're glorified. You're put at the top of the organization. Everyone wants to know you, have a picture with you, report you on their page. They want your picture. They want to write about you on their blog. It's such a big thing. It's just shows that Hinduism is so progressive. Look at all these white people are so scientific or compatible with Westerners and all this other kind of stuff. And like I did get special treatment in Hinduism because I was white, not as much as if I had been straight, but I did get special treatment. And you know so to my face at least. And
Well,
you know
secular Quranism welcomes you, and you
but
know the reasons.
yeah, I know, but I mean, we're talking about an established religion, and I mean, Hinduism is spreading faster than secular Quranism. you know
Of course, but I mean, it's one of the oldest religions in the world, or is in fact the oldest religion in the world. But anyway, you already you can warn people who convert, or white people who convert to. I mean, don't you think the caste system is so disgusting? I think it's worse than apartheid.
the way that it's practiced, yes, it's not good.
And actually, apparently, wasn't practiced in any sort of rigid official way. It was only when the British got there that they thought, great, we're going to use the
No,
caste
that's
system to
bullshit.
divide and rule them.
That's bullshit. There was caste problems before the British got there. I mean, there's casteism. There's murdering sudras for reading the Vedas and stuff like that. I mean, there's plenty of problems.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, it sounds a terrible religion. I don't know why anybody would want to get into it. And
Well,
you have the
because now
story.
now the caste system is softening, and it's not what you think, and it's not that bad, and oh, it's not actually based on birth, it's your merit, it's a psychological sifting organization. I mean, all these different kinds of bullshit. I mean, these reform Hindus are fucking everything up because they're just making it. Reform Hinduism is a real threat. I mean, the threat is not coming from Hindus that don't want converts and just want to live in a village and throw cooking oil on their wife and set her on fire. You know what I mean? It's like it's a little bit more dangerous than all that. I mean, I wish all Hindus were just total bastards, and there were no gay Hindus and there were no lesbian Hindus and stuff like that, because that just it muddies the waters.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure some of them are very, well, like Vivek Ramaswamy. He's he could be the next president of America.
I don't know what I know. He's anti woke. I mean, I don't know what his feelings are about gay people. I don't know what his feelings are about women. I don't know how serious he is about his religion. All I know is that, he has a Chabad Lubavitch rabbi who is his mentor, and he was part of that secret Chabad Lubavitch Noahide organization, Shabtai, in Yale. And it seems, every he denies it. I don't know if it's true or not. I've seen like official documents, though he denies it, that he got money from Soros. You know what I mean? Like he denies it to high heaven, but is there evidence that he got money from Soros? Yes, there is.
So, have you decided who you're going to be voting for
I
in?
don't want, I'm very depressed about it. And I don't like, it's disgusting that they can't get anyone besides Trump. I mean, it just shows how fucking shitty the Republican Party is, that nobody can beat like a man that fucking riled all those people up, sent them to the Capitol, and then when they attacked, like, acted like he was all against it. But at first he was all for it, but then when it looked bad for his reputation, he was like, oh, these criminals. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why anyone went back to him. He also turned his back on everyone who helped him. He dumped all of the staff that helped him get elected. He brought
What
in
do you mean
all,
by dump?
like, he stumped Steve Bannon. Like, as soon as he got into the White House, he dumped all these grassroots people that helped him get there, and he got in with all the establishment people and started having dinners with Mitt Romney and all this other bullshit. And also, he dog whistled that he was anti-Jewish. He was going up before the Jews in America and saying, "I don't need your money." You know what I mean? And so people were like, "Oh yeah, he's anti-Jewish. He's going to stop Zionism and all this other kind of stuff." And he just went the totally other way. He never built the wall, probably never wanted to. Ann Coulter was like, just you're the president of the United States, you're the leader of the army, get the Army Corps of Engineers to go in and build a wall. He wouldn't do it, never did anything, acted really.
Maybe he couldn't really get anything done because he was being thwarted at every turn.
No, he didn't try. He didn't try. And also he didn't have to dump everybody, and he didn't need to go running into the arms of Israel. And he didn't need to do all these
But
things.
but,
And
but Israel is sacred to
you're just making
Americans.
excuses. Then why did he go around telling Jews, I don't need your money? He lied to everyone.
Well, maybe he had to tell a few white lies to, I don't know, do whatever thought he needed to do. I don't know.
And now he's meeting with Nick Fuentes. If you fall for that, you're a piece of shit. That, oh, I'm with Nick Fuentes now. So, or no, he met with okay, no, he claimed he didn't know who Nick Fuentes was, because Donald Trump officially, at his invitation, went to dinner with Kanye West, and Kanye West brought Nick Fuentes with him. So,
Hmm.
first of all, Kanye West is very anti Semitic and spreading anti Semitic tropes. So, again, he's trying to appeal to the anti Semitic crowd. He's trying to appeal to the anti Semitic crowd that, oh, look, I'm having dinner with Kanye West, and bullshit, he didn't know who Nick Fuentes is. I don't believe that shit, that he didn't know who Nick Fuentes is. I mean, to
Maybe he
oh,
had to do his multiple truth hypothesis too. I like Jews, no, I don't like Jews, I like Jews, I don't like
yeah,
Jews.
well, then, then fine, fall for him, fall for him. I can't help people
So
anymore.
you're going to be voting for Vivek.
No, I'm not voting for anyone.
Hmm. Well, it's very sad. What do you think of my one-party state idea?
Well, I no, I don't. Obviously, I believe in plurality and multiplicity, so I'm not going to be for that. I do think it's good that we have more than one political party, in
Okay.
America. I think it's
Have you ever read
Yes,
Washington's general?
George Washington's speech. You always bring this up. I know he was against it, but he's not God. And he doesn't, just because he's George Washington doesn't mean everything that he said and he does is right. You tend to like cling on to these people like, oh, the Anabaptists did this, so then everyone should do it. You just find a group that did what you like them to do, and you like laud them as like, well, you should all. Well, George Washington was like that.
Well, but he was right about the reasons why he said don't form political parties. He's right,
Well,
isn't
he was
he?
wrong.
Wasn't
No,
he?
well, humans don't work like that, and to make pie in the sky,
How
you
can
know,
so now you're just brushing aside truth and
no
logic?
ideal. No, it's a different opinion. That's a very idealistic opinion that people are not going to break up into political parties.
Well, they're just not allowed to in
I
China.
know. Well, you'll have to kill people.
No, you don't have to kill people.
You'll
You
have
just
to
say no.
arrest people, or even if you do that, there's going to be wings inside your political party, a left wing and a right wing that fight with each other. They might as well be two separate parties. Than
No, no, because you want the factions to be fluid so that the divisions are not permanent.
well, they're going. People are going to separate out anyway. Whether they're in the same political
Okay,
party.
but they can say, today I'll vote with you on this issue, tomorrow I'll vote with somebody else
They
on
do that, and
another
they
issue.
do that in with divided politics too. And I mean, sometimes Democrats vote with Republicans and vice versa. It's not always like 100% division. I mean, the government runs, and I don't necessarily think that we need a one party
Uh,
state. And just because people don't agree with you doesn't mean they're not illogical and untruthful.
well, I'm saying, oh, the situation now is so dire, and I'm saying the party system led to it.
Well, I
And
mean,
I don't see how you can even deny that.
that's an analysis. There's a lot that went into, destroying America. And I don't
It
necessarily,
didn't happen overnight.
okay, well, I don't necessarily believe that, not having a one party system is what was behind that. I mean, just because somebody doesn't agree with your theory, you can't just like say, oh, well, you don't believe in truth. You remind me of my friend that says if you're not open to the idea about aliens, then you don't believe in truth and logic. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't believe aliens exist, then you don't believe in truth and logic. Like, excuse me, I have no reason to fucking believe aliens exist. You can't
Okay,
prove. Can you prove through a scientific experiment that not having a one party system is solely or close to solely what collapsed America?
well, yes. Because, I mean,
So
all the reasons given by Washington apply. It's
that's
like
not
he,
science. That's not
no,
science.
well, that's history. It's history. And then you
Well,
look at
history
China and
isn't
how China's
science, and
doing more better than before.
yeah, China has had a one party system forever, and I don't want to move to China either. People aren't
Right.
immigrating into China from all around the world, like in mass numbers. Like Indian Hindus don't want to go to China. There's a reason for that.
Well, it's just prejudice.
No, it's not prejudice. They don't want to live under the communist system.
Well, actually, there are lots of Westerners who live there.
I know, but it's not a mecca for the whole world. Africans aren't moving to China. Europeans aren't moving to China in any mass numbers. They go there for business only. Even people from other East Asian countries don't immigrate into China in mass numbers. There's like no mass Thailand, Vietnamese wave into China. There's no Japanese wave into China. No Korean wave into China. Even people who speak the same language as them don't want to live there. Why were there so many protests in Hong Kong if they wanted to be part of China so bad?
Because it was got up by
Oh yeah, I know everything is a CIA cook up, and
yeah.
people. Yeah, I know this.
Well, I mean,
I
the Hong Kongese, obviously feel a bit different about China because they were under the British.
the CIA doesn't control everything, and like people have emotions of their own. The grassroots things can happen. People throughout history have agreed on something without being manipulated and tried to implement it. Not the CIA wasn't always around, and the government doesn't control everything. And you know what, Claire, I don't believe the CIA is. I believe I'm on shadow ban on YouTube. Yes, I do believe that, but like is the CIA 100% responsible for me not being a rock star? No, they're not.
well, is responsible for the climate of fear that other people
Okay, you
experience.
you blame the CIA for secular Quranism not being, having a world empire.
Well, because I can't get it platformed
Yeah,
anywhere.
because obviously everyone who writes about it hates it, and you don't have a lot of friends.
No, no, no. The thing is, even the people who hate it and want to write about it can't do it.
It's not that they can't; they don't want to.
No, no, no. I have been approached by journalists who wanted to do a story and then they discovered they couldn't, it wouldn't get published. Okay, so somebody writing about secular Quranism on his blog is obviously not going to be listened to as
I
somebody
and I
writing
know
in The Guardian.
your other problem is everything about getting into the newspaper and nothing about. Look, I mean, like, what about selling your book, Claire? What about getting people interested in your book? And like, if you can't do that, then people
Well,
aren't
how can I get
interested.
people interested in a book if it's not promoted?
Not there was lots of people. Look, the Mormons were not popular in America, and nobody wanted them around, but they grew anyway.
Yes, but I'm not a religion.
I
I am.
well, it doesn't
Okay, okay,
matter.
look, this is what
Communism
I'm.
wasn't a religion either, and it spread even though the government was totally against it because it had appeal.
Mormonism.
Communism in America. Claire, you
Well,
don't
well,
listen to
obviously
what I
communism.
say. I'm saying communism is not a religion, yet it spreads in America,
Well,
even though the government.
it's a moral system. I mean, moral systems can include religions and
It's not a religion.
secular
Well,
political
communism is
ideologies. There is a belief system to
it's a
communism
secular
and also
religion.
values.
It's a
It's
secular religion. Stop blaming everyone for you not being successful.
look. What is necessary is that there is some sort of functioning group of people prepared to engage on topics. And there's only you. Isn't there something wrong if only you can talk about ideas? There must be people above you, and I know there are, but they're not going to be seen dead engaging with these things, are they?
Clara,
Because
well, I
their careers would be at risk for
my
even be
plan is
seen to be entertaining the idea.
okay.
That's why I'm stuck at
My
the bottom.
plan my plan is not to get into the newspapers. If I have to do it the Jehovah's Witness way and just be on my own and publish my own stuff and spread my own stuff and get popular that way, I think that's a better move than trying to get into the newspapers.
Well, at least I know what I have to do.
Yeah, well, you're not doing groundwork. I mean, you don't, I mean, you're not, I mean, your plan is not to like evangelize your system. Your plan is to get some politician to shove it down everyone's throat.
Of course, it's top down.
Okay, well, that's not
I mean,
perfect
law is
thinking.
top down. Well, I mean, do you think there's going to be some mass movement of secular Quranists, going to Times Square and marching to Parliament? And no, no, I don't see that. I don't expect it. It would be crazy for me to expect that. I simply expect my ideas to be discussed and eventually accepted by the intelligentsia, public intellectuals. But they won't. They don't talk about anything. It's not just my ideas they don't talk about. They don't talk about anything that matters about marriage or family or foreign policy or anything. They don't talk about any of those things. It's not just secular Quranism they don't talk about.
Yeah,
They
there's
don't talk
lots of
about
things,
anything
but
important.
other groups get forward without being, put in the newspaper. I mean,
Which groups?
well, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons aren't like published all over the
Yeah, but
newspaper.
Mormonism
Okay, what
has
about okay, well,
changed.
Christian Science was the fastest
Well,
growing
it's
religion.
over and out for them.
Okay, well,
You,
Jehovah's
you, you
Witnesses
said
are
their
still
churches are
growing.
closing down.
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are still growing, and they don't have any kind of, newspapers don't, unless it's something negative like child rape or disfellowshipping and people committing suicide. The government is not known to publish favorable articles of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They'd rather not talk about it because they don't want it to grow. Jehovah's Witnesses don't even seek that
There you
type
go.
of.
There you go.
They don't even
You,
seek that
you,
type of
you, you,
publicity.
you, your,
Okay,
your people are
you're
also deprived
seeking
of the
it and
oxygen of
can't get it.
publicity. No,
You're
no, no, no. Forget mainstream media. We already know. Okay, I'm saying they're controlled by the CIA. I'm talking about the other lot, the dissident right YouTubers who refuse to discuss secular Quranism while pretending they care about the future of the white race.
okay. The
The
CIA is not behind that,
millennials.
Claire. The
What?
CIA is not behind the right wing boycotting you.
Okay, they're just afraid of losing their monetization, yes?
Not for speaking about secular Quranism because they lose members from talking about it.
Yeah, so they're pandering to their shit for brains, Islamophobic,
Claire,
retard
you have
subscribers and viewers.
a ground
Where
level.
are the decent people? Where are the intellects capable of entertaining an idea? They're not around us.
Claire, this proves that you have grassroots problems, that people on the grassroots don't want to listen to you, and that's why you're not popular. And it's not because the CIA has a hit list on you.
I'm not saying that they're certainly doing it for the mainstream media, but I'm saying yes, attitudes of of what they consider is self-preservation. If I even talk to her, I'll lose all these subscribers and my super chats and my super stickers and shit like that. They all deserve to die without issue. And out of all of the Anglo-Saxon Empire, there's only you I can talk to.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Claire. I think that you're blaming other people for you not being popular. Look, I'm not expecting to be popular, so I don't have that problem. I'm not going to go on.
I'm not expecting to be popular. I'm expecting people to propose a better idea if they hate mine so much, and they haven't even tried, have they?
And
They,
this is your
they
other
just thought,
thing.
we can just ignore it because we don't like it, and that's all we need to do, and she'll
Yeah,
go away.
Claire, this is your other thing. You say, well, if you can't propose anything better, you might as well take mine. So you're going up to starving people and you're saying, I will feed you shit. But if you think of something better than shit to eat? There's nothing else to eat, so why don't you eat shit? And people would rather die than eat shit.
Well, some people do eat shit. These
Well,
Hindus.
okay, but you can't live on shit. You can't. You would die from eating shit. So, and why would you eat shit if you're just gonna
Well,
die
well,
from it?
well okay, I'm just saying that there's something unpleasant you have to eat, and if you don't eat it, you're going to die. So I guess if you want to survive, you'll have to, well, eat it or like it or, enough to, or want to survive enough. I guess a survival instinct for Western men is not that strong. And I think on that, you and I are both agreed. Do you have a, I guess we should
What?
I guess we can round up now. Do you have any
No,
last words?
no. No, I don't. But thank you for having me.
And have a good Koraniyule.
You too. Okay. Bye.